Hello and welcome to this Hornets Heroes YouTube series, episode 4. And I'm delighted to be joined by Watford legend, Tommy Smith. Tommy, thank you for taking the time out of your schedule to speak to us today.
Absolute pleasure. No problem at all.
So you played over 300 times for Watford, which is a remarkable achievement. You played under Graham Taylor. You were signed by Graham Taylor. You started against Oldham in the second division, and then a season later you were playing in the Premier League. How were those early days? What were they like to be at Watford when you were so kind of young in your career?
Yeah, just incredible, really. Some fantastic memories. I guess that's all you know, really, isn't it? Kind of, my journey was, it was always mapped out, and at Watford at that particular time, there always seemed to be a path into the first team. And a number of players had done it over the years before me. So I kind of knew that if I got my head down and worked hard and a little bit of luck, right place at the right time, you could kind of picture yourself maybe getting towards the first team. So, I was just fortunate to be at the club at the time where obviously Graham Taylor came back and we got the back-to-back promotion. So it was a great time to be at the club. So that was a little bit fortunate that it fell as I was breaking into the first team. But look, you got to take it while the opportunity's there. So no, fantastic memories for me.
What was it like working under Graham Taylor? I mean, everyone's got a different Graham Taylor story. It must have been an incredible experience.
Yeah, it was. It was. He was brilliant for me. He kind of, like my dad's had a huge role in my career all the way through, but he was almost like a father figure for me at the club. So I always felt he was pushing for me from a very young age. I think he'd kind of identified that I had a chance of getting into the first team, and I think he kind of saw if he could work with me that he could see me getting there. And I kind of felt, not just him, there was other people at the club such as Kenny Jackets and Tom Wallies and Luther Blissets that all were Watford through and through, and you kind of felt that you had a real support from the management and the staff. So, that was great. And Graham was brilliant with me and my family, really.
You were part of that first Premier League team for Watford. You went up to the Prem. Why do you think it was so difficult for Watford adapting to that new division?
It's a good question. Ultimately, we fell short on quality, really. You look back then, and it's no real difference now, I guess, the Premier League teams. But, you kind of had Middlesbroughs who were middle-of-the-road Premier League teams, but they had some massive players. Janinios and Raviellis were there for periods of time. And, so it was a really strong league, like it still is now. But I think the gulf between the Championship and the Premier League was quite big back then. And we had a lot of good players and we huffed and puffed, but ultimately, we just didn't have the quality, unfortunately.
And then Vialli came in, and you're the first one of our interviewees on this Hornets Heroes podcast to have worked under Vialli, to have played under him. Right. A massive name in world global football. What was that like, working under such an iconic person?
Yeah, again, really fortunate to have worked under someone who's got such an incredible career in football. So he was brilliant, and it was a really interesting season. Unfortunately, it didn't quite work out as we all hoped. The club were in a good financial position, brought him in. We brought in lots of players with big names. And we kind of went from a quite direct team under Graham to being a really kind of team that kept possession, tried to pass and move. So it was a big kind of learning curve for a lot of players that were there, trying to adapt with a lot of players that were new signings as well, that came in with big names. So it was quite an interesting time. It was quite turbulent, really. And obviously it didn't pan out and it didn't work very well in the end. But, for me anyway, it was brilliant to work under him. I learned a lot from him. He's a great man and full of charisma. But just sadly, it was just one of those things. I think Watford wasn't probably the right fit for him and what he was trying to do. And I think ultimately that's probably why it didn't work.
Yeah, perhaps. And we've had a few Italians at Watford, Zola and there are a few more Walter Mazzari, but that definitely didn't work. You had spells away from Watford at Derby and Sunderland, and then you came back to Watford. What was your second period like at the club, and what was the highlight from that second spell at the club?
Yeah, I was desperate to come back to the club. Really, I was actually lined up to move to Sheffield United, and at the 11th hour, Aidy Boothroyd and Watford kind of came in and put a late bid in. And for me, at that point, that was my mind made up. I felt when I left the club, I had a point to prove to come back. I felt I'd improved over the three seasons I've been away. And yeah, well, look, Watford's my hometown club, and yeah, it was really important for me at that point to come back and to kind of carry on kind of what I'd started with my initial journey through the club.
And Aidy took Watford to new heights, and everyone's kind of praised Aidy, and I think it was Jay Demerit who said that he had a different spark. What was that like working under Aidy compared to a Vialli or a Graham Taylor?
Yeah, Aidy was, you know, when you work under managers, they've all got, as much as there's only so much, you know, they can do, everyone's got their own style and their own way of working, and Aidy was very different to anyone I'd worked under before. But again, he had traits of Graham Taylor. He was very full of charisma, made you want to play for him, had a real kind of desire and a passion about football, a real work ethic. You had to work really hard under him. But no, again, loved him. He was really successful, and we had a great period under him at the club. Obviously got us promoted, and you know, we were close to staying up, closer than we were the original time with under Graham. But you know, it was great memories, and it was a great time to be at the club, actually.
And you've had a few FA Cup runs, a few promotions. What was your favourite memory in a Watfordshire? You've played over 300 times, so there must be a few standout moments.
Oh God, yeah, no, loads. There really are, and there's different reasons as well. Kind of personal achievements, but also group achievements as well. So yeah, it's really hard to put my finger on one particular. You know, I guess the real highlight for me, if one stood out, probably my first goal when I came on as sub against QPR as kind of a 17-year-old, and second touch scored. And that for me probably was the biggest moment in my career, because it kind of propelled me into the first team and the spotlight, I guess. So that's probably one of the biggest moments.
Yeah, I can imagine it must be an amazing feeling to score your first goal for Watford. And at the moment, Watford are sitting pretty good. They're 2 points off the top in third at time of recording. They play Nottingham Forest tomorrow, and they've just drawn Manchester United away in the FA Cup. You played against Manchester United in the FA Cup. What's the experience like for a Watford player?
Yeah, look, they're great days. FA Cup's fantastic. I always love playing in it. It's nice to get away from the league and to play against whether it's lower league teams or teams above you, such as Man United. You know, it's fantastic. We drew Man United in the FA Cup semi-final, and yeah, that great memories looking back. That team had Ronaldo, Giggs, Beckham, Scholes, Ferdinand. You know, what a great opportunity to play against teams like this. And you look at the Watford, the Man United team now, again, full of massive names, and what a fantastic draw for Watford. So they'll be really looking forward to that.
And can Watford go up this season? As I said, third in the league, only 2 points off the top as we approach the Christmas period.
Yeah, I think so. They've got a fantastic squad, a really strong squad with a lot of strength and depth. A lot of players with experience at this level and Premier League level. So I think that gives us a huge advantage over the other teams in and around us. I think it's been a bit of a patchy start in terms of form, but you know, it just shows we're sitting third, having probably not been brilliant so far. So it looks like we're gradually building and getting better and better, creating a few more chances, scoring some more goals. So I think that the blend of what the new manager's trying to bring in will always take a bit of time. So actually, I think we're going to go from strength to strength. So I think we'll get stronger as the season progresses, without doubt. A lot of unlucky injuries as well, and players coming back in. So again, it's all looking really bright.
That's exactly what we love to hear. Tommy, thank you for joining us on the Hornets Heroes podcast. It's been a pleasure, and stay safe over the Christmas period.
Great stuff. Thank you very much.